So with that, we'll move on to business item number, actually, it'll be A, which is the concept plan, well, B, it's actually now B, concept plan for Mackenthun's grocery store. So what we're going to do, I know we have one couple here that wishes to speak, but what I think we're going to do is I'm going to have staff make whatever presentation they're going to do, have Mackenthun's chime in whatever they would like to do. I know I have some comments, and the council members may have some comments or questions. Maybe some of your questions will be answered during that process, but certainly if not, you will be given an opportunity to also address the council. So with that, Mr. Olson?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. This item on your agenda is in the Woodland Cove neighborhood. It is a concept sketch plan for a 48,000, I believe, square foot grocery store and a multifamily building somewhere in the 140 to 148 unit total. In your staff report, I gave a little bit of a history about the Woodland Cove neighborhood. I'm sure most of you are pretty familiar with it, but it's a process that goes back to 2012 when the preliminary plat was approved for 1,071 units on roughly 500 acres. The site we're looking at here is in the northwest quadrant of Kings Point Road and Highway 7. A lot of the concerns, this was presented to the Planning Commission back in June, and a lot of the concerns were traffic. So there was some additional information in your staff report that kind of outlines how this was all looked at during the preliminary plat process. Looking at the main connection here at Highway 7 and Kings Point Road, but there's also a connection Lotus Drive east to County Road 44. There was a committee made up that included the city, MnDOT, Carver County, Three Rivers, and the developer at the time, to try to figure out what the best means of an intersection was where Kings Point Road and Highway 7 intersect. And the conclusion was, based on the 1,071 unit development and a commercial component, that a roundabout made the most sense. So that's what we're looking at here as part of this. That would be the main access point for this. And another thing here we're looking at is the unit number on the multifamily. It was planned to have 108 units, but as you can see, the developer is showing 140 to 148. Back in I would say, we were planning for the 2040 comp plan, which was about 4 years ago. We kind of worked in the ability to consider additional units without needing to go through the comp plan amendment process. And that number was actually all the way up to 188 units. So you can see the 40 units additional here are well within that range. So we'd be looking for a little bit of comments and discussions from the council on that, if that's something that they're willing to consider. And we do have the developer of the multifamily here that can maybe speak to that a little bit more. I guess I'll kind of give a little bit of a rundown of what happened at the Planning Commission meeting. I think the applicants of the grocery store did a great job of kind of recapping that as well. But obviously the concerns were traffic, more congestion with a lot of the movements along the east side of the building. When you've got the coffee shop, you've got grocery pickup, and you've got deliveries for stocking of the store. So some of those things were concerns of the people that were speaking at the Planning Commission meeting. And the Planning Commission did kind of gravitate towards that. Looking at, screening options. Is there a way to create some buffering, some landscaping, take away from some of the things that the, adjacent property owners might see. And I would say, that's kind of I guess more or less the quick rundown of it. I'm here if we have questions. Otherwise, we do have representation from Mackenthun's, the grocery store, and then Doran Companies for the multifamily.
Thank you. Anybody from Mackenthun's, would you care to add anything, make comments at this time? Okay. So I'm sure you can answer questions, though, if we have them. So I'm going to start out with a couple things. I did talk to our engineer earlier today, and it has to do with traffic flow. So, and I know generally what you like to do, or what engineers like to do, is do four-way intersections. And so I'm having a little bit of a problem. I think, here's my idea, is I know you had that turnaround for the coffee, for the drive-through coffee thing, and you kind of redid that. That really isn't really a good situation. So what I'm wondering is, rather than doing, can you go back to the one you had up there? Oh, sure. There. Rather than doing a four-way intersection at, what is that Cove Lane or what is, yeah.
Cranesville and
Cranesville.
Yep,
Thank
Kingspoint
you.
Road, yep.
It can do a number, if you move that down and could swing it down almost to the center of there, right approximately there, one, you're going to keep the traffic south of Cranesville, south of the people that are living there. Plus, I think that could then eliminate having to do that jog for the turnaround for the coffee line. So in other words, they can go through your coffee, the drive-through, and then just go right up and come right out.
So just make a one-way exit there?
No, it can be in and out, but I'm just saying they're going to come around and they don't have to go up and around and through. It'll just be coming through there.
Isn't that back entrance for the delivery trucks though?
They could still be there, yeah.
So you want to add a fourth entrance?
No, eliminate that, the furthest north one. It would be just like the furthest north one, except it would be down further.
How would that work for the substation? Where would that road be for them to get out of that?
You'd still have that, it's kind of hard to describe without a pointer here. You would still have that road up there. And that's the other thing. The substation, we had always talked about, and I'm not sure if who's been consulted, we always talked about having like about an acre there. So if you move that road down, you could actually gain a little more space for that substation. Yeah. I don't know how to use it. So this road, if it were to come like this and then swing down like that, you'd actually gain a little more space for that substation, which I'm not sure what eventually will go there, but we want to make sure that whatever we want to put there will have ample space. I'm just questioning whether a 0.66 acres, I think it was, is going to be sufficient for that.
How would that work with Cranesville then? They would have to get onto Woodland Cove or get onto Kings Point Road and then swing in that way?
So
there wouldn't be anything, the median would move up and block that?
no, the median would still be open here for Cranesville. You come down here and they would go out. So this is coming down here, swinging in, and there'd be an opening here in the median there as well.
Left turn lane as well.
Yeah, correct. Can I add, just tell me if this is totally crazy or what?
Well, Madam Mayor, I don't think it's totally crazy. I think it's always a good opportunity to have some discussion about this. So certainly when we look at, there's a couple components. One, we want to take a look at the traffic patterns and volumes on Kings Point Road, the public right-of-way. And then there's certainly some internal functional traffic patterns that the development team looks at. One of the things when we take a look at, we usually try to and encourage to have intersections align. And hearing some of the concerns, would we be able to move that northern access down a little bit? My suggestion is that there might be an opportunity for the development team's traffic engineering team to have some discussions with city staff, and we can certainly bring in a traffic consultant to be in on that discussion as well, as far as what happens if you do that offset, because I think that might be an important conversation when you look at safety and how do you handle some of the traffic volumes coming through there. So that would be my 2 cents on taking a look at that.
So that road then is primarily for deliveries. Is that kind of the thought?
There's also outlets in the back area.
Okay, for the outlots, the 2 outlots. Any idea what the outlet C is? Is that commercial?
That would be part of the plan, yes.
Yeah, okay.
They maybe could speak to some prospects they've had for that outlet, but the expectation would that be some additional commercial space as well.
Okay, so you're saying that this entrance is also for that, right? Okay, so why wouldn't it work if it was further south? I'm just asking.
I'm not sure how a semi would turn around if it was further south to get to the loading line.
That will make it difficult, yes. The semi-traffic, because now you're making everybody have to U-turn to come to that entrance, unless we put another hole in the median.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
On the median?
Yeah.
So you
Right, I'm not saying a U-turn, yeah.
Yeah, the one that,
You know, maybe come to the podium.
Since I get point over here, currently a full-size semi-truck requires this kind of distance to make this turn and move in here. There's no space. I mean, this is designed to accommodate a full-size delivery semi-truck. If the entrance is moved in here, a semi-truck would basically need a 130-foot diameter circle to make this movement. This whole area would become a delivery area. And all of the commercial traffic that would be using this would basically be driving through a truck
Okay.
park.
Okay, all right, thank you. Good information to know. All right, another question. Another concern I have is I'm fine with the 148 units. I don't think that makes any difference whether it's 108 or 148 or whatever. But my concern is this private road. All right, which I think is good, great. But I'm just wondering, would it make sense? You have two openings down here. You have this opening and then two openings. Wouldn't it make sense to just have the first opening and then have it closed and then maybe have an opening at the top? My question or my concern is that you have this access to upper parking level. I'm assuming it's for the people living in this apartment building, right? So if you have that second opening up higher, they could still use that same entrance coming in and then drive in front of the apartment to get up to the access?
If I could, may I explain, so this grade entry here is L2 level parking, so 2 levels down. Approximately 22-foot grade drop
Okay,
from the entry here to where this parking enters here. This retaining wall that spans along this line here, at this area will be 2 to 4 feet in height. At this area, it will be 20 to 25 feet in height.
okay,
To allow for this access to this lower level garage entry.
okay,
So having access to this upper parking area from this, what is really a drive ramp to lower parking is not feasible. This access here is specifically to
for the coffee,
the lane for the coffee.
right.
And then this access is primarily to service the primary parking area and then also the guest entry for the apartment.
Okay, is that, with those two entrances, is that confusing? I mean, like, my concern is, will people be driving down that private road and then get to the end and then not know where to go or how to turn around? I
I
mean,
think it'll be signage we need to be well done. We've looked at, again, this is a schematic, so we're not advancing it to where there's probably be a right-only entry in here.
okay.
And then this one will be well signed.
Are there going to be like monuments or something there?
Yeah, signage.
to-
When you get to this point, it's gonna be a ramp going down and it won't be inviting. So
Okay.
as you go
Okay.
to that lower level, you are gonna see the grade dropping down to an area that won't be inviting, and I don't think
Okay.
people are gonna want to see more.
Okay, I was just thinking, well, what's going to stop people from going down that road and then ending up at a garage that they can't access? Okay, all right. Yeah, those were my comments. I'm just wondering how we can mitigate the impact for the four-way intersection there. Any ideas there?
The north one,
Yeah.
and mitigate from,
Well, so here's what I've heard, I mean, so here's the thing. You're going to have people coming out of their homes, going onto Kings Point, and the less traffic you have to the north, the better off, So I'm just wondering, is there any way, and I understand you want to try and do a four-way. Are you going to do a four-way stop sign? Is there going to be a stop sign? What's...
Madam Mayor, that's a good question. So included in the packet is a recommendation to get some traffic volume generation, turning movements, those sorts of things that we've requested the development team to provide, so that we can certainly look at what how many cars will be turning in there, what kind of signage would be appropriate, how long should the turn lanes be. So I think that's all good information that, and direction to provide the developer as far as coming in with their plans for city council approval for consideration for approval.
Mhm. So we don't know at this time if these turn lanes are going to be long enough?
That's certainly one of the things that we would like to get some more information on, is to take a look at what they're looking at for particularly the southern two entrances.
Right.
To take a look at what the turn lane queuing, if that's sufficient stacking space.
Mm-hmm.
So Lisa, your concern with the northern entrance is that people coming from farther down Kings Point Road are going to turn in the back way,
No, coming out of
Cranesville,
Cranesville.
and they're going to have to cross the traffic to go the other way?
They're going to be making most likely when they come out of Cranesville, they're going to be making a left turn.
Right.
So it's going to be a four-way intersection.
Well,
And
I
so-
mean, their issue, so the people coming on Kings Point will obviously have to turn in, but the people coming from the northern part of Kings Point, that's going to be the same amount of traffic that Cranesville already has to face
Correct.
when they pull out.
Correct.
They already have a stop sign.
Correct.
So,
But they're going to be there's going to be a lot more traffic going north on Kings Point.
well, not past that intersection. I mean, the only people going past there live up there.
Okay, but the intersection itself is going to be more traffic. There's going to be more traffic at that new intersection because another entry into this development is going to be there.
Right, but that entry would primarily be used for people that live in the apartment on the upper level parking and the trucks until there's development on that other outlot.
Right.
Otherwise, the traffic they're gonna have is the ones leaving Caribou and coming out that way and then making the right-hand turn to go south on Kings Point, which won't affect people on Cranesville as much because they'll just need to pay attention. I mean, I think putting a four-way stop there's a horrible idea.
I'm just asking because I mean,
Madam Mayor, if I may, I think that's certainly something that the development team's traffic engineer could take a look at that and note the concern that's been brought up this evening and provide a comment based on what they're seeing for trip generation on whether or not a four-way stop is warranted.
and maybe not now, but maybe down the road if they're depending on what goes up in that other commercial area. Who knows how much traffic that intersection will see. So I just think if it's going to remain a four-way intersection, then we need to consider that. My only other question is, are we going to, again, this is a what if, down the road, that other commercial lot that's, let's see, between Cranesville and the other one on this side, are we going to allow more entrances onto Kings Point for that development? That was why I was thinking, well, if we're going to allow another entrance, maybe then create a four-way intersection or opportunity now.
Yeah, certainly. I think that's something that I can have some discussions with the planning department if that was ever something that was looked at conceptually through the preliminary plat and AUAR updates for the Woodland Cove development to see what they were looking at for access points for those two outlets.
I don't know. Do you know if there was any access points for those?
Off the top of my head, I don't know what the plan was, but I mean, obviously, each commercial site, one has 3 frontages and one has 2, so there are options there, depending, and it might depend on what use is ultimately there as to what access they dictate, and what makes the most sense. But off the top of my head, I don't recall exactly what the thought process was or where they thought those lots would access.
Okay, because I'd hate to have more accesses onto Cranesville for that commercial lot. You know what I'm saying? It should be off of Kings Point or off of the other one. Just some thoughts. Okay, so we'll get a traffic update or?
Yes,
Study?
Madam Mayor, that was part of the recommendation, was to get some trip generation and some other turning movement information so that between the developer's engineer and your engineering team, we could come up with some recommendations for turn lane lengths and, as you mentioned, some traffic control devices and making sure that we're getting that corridor to accommodate all that traffic.
So just a quick question, how many feet on that first turn lane for the first entrance, how many feet do you have there?
I think close to around 100 feet.
For the turn lane itself? Okay.
Well, the one that's being proposed to be installed, this one,
No, one below.
this one's already constructed, so I think it is around 100 to 120 feet.
Okay, so about 10 cars?
That one's in place already.
Mm-hmm. So that's like 10 cars approximately?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I believe this one was designed to mirror that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Seems like it should be enough, but we'll find out, right?
But I agree,
Yeah.
City's engineer, that we can review that. It's pretty customary with developments of this nature, and the finding of that traffic information will be helpful to all parties.
Sure. Thank you. All right.
I have a comment on your re-proposal of the Caribou turnaround. Can you flip to page 154? So it's up there. So that's a four-way intersection there. So now if I'm turning in coming from Northern Kings Point Road, I have to cross people going straight through to the parking for the pick up groceries, cross the people leaving Caribou, cross the people going to Caribou to get to the main entrance of the store. That's a lot of people I have to look out for to get to the front of the parking lot.
So, I think retail environments are some about building habits, building good habits, and are about customers who return and learn how to use the parking facilities in a way that they don't get caught in situations. After this facility has been opened, people coming northbound on Kings Point Road are going to learn to use the south entry and rear load the parking because they want to avoid a lot of the congestion, like a lot of retail stores with pedestrian congestion across the front, coffee interaction between car and vehicle, right, car and pedestrian conflicts, and it's going to become a rear loaded parking facility. So that entrance on the south side of the project site is probably going to be a primary entrance for both entering and exiting vehicles from the retail store. That's just the way retail works, and people tend to build habits. For coffee has to come through here to get staging. And this is coming a fairly common approach for supplementing accessory uses on these type of facilities where we stage in the parking lot and we provide a lot of stacking. So I think in this one, it's beyond what the Caribou requirements are by quite a bit.
Right, but I live north of this on Kings Point Road, so I'm gonna use that middle entrance. Because I'm not gonna go in the loading one, so.
You're gonna be probably one of few people because I think the trip generations will show that the primary traffic is gonna come from the south, divert off that south axis. And yep, this one will have a few conflicts, but with appropriate striping, signage, we believe those conflicts can be accommodated on this retail. Is it perfect? Retail developments typically aren't perfect and all. It's kind of a balance of safe access, safe pedestrian flows, and accommodating access to and fro. What we tried to do with this reconfiguration was remove the ability to park here, which removes one of the conflict points. So no longer is there parking along this side. We got redundant access for pickup, being able to come in here, being able to come in here. We've reshaped this to have better directional flow or separation from the truck staking area, which we believe is beneficial. And we've provided the opportunity for the coffee people to make a choice. Do they want to exit back here and exit southbound? Or do they want to exit through here and exit northbound, or exit here and again go southbound? So we're providing that exiting traffic from the coffee to have, again, more options than it did previously, in a safe condition. In our next middle, you'll see there'll be a stop condition here. We're gonna have a stop condition here, We'll have a stop condition here, and you do not on retail stop the incoming traffic, so you stop all the side approaches and let the incoming traffic go in without a stop condition, so we don't back up this intersection here to the best of our abilities.
Chief, do you have concerns about that?
Mayor and council, that this approach does seem to make sense to me, only because I have experience in a lot of drive-throughs. And if you don't have proper staging, it causes traffic problems. If they're hanging out into the road or even the parking lot, it's gridlock. So I like this approach. That seems more than ample to me. And I know that, again, there's nothing perfect. But I think they've addressed what would be one of my largest concerns, is to get that traffic off the main road and then also not blocking the parking lot where people are trying to get around and driving unsafely.
And have you looked at any other options for the coffee exit?
We have, I mean, it's changed from the preliminary when we were kind of skewed out. We looked at an option to where they potentially skew it out and turn it around. But on this side of the building, pickup is on the driver's side. We don't have a pharmacy type where you can go up and over, so with this orientation, this is kind of the most common approach to refining and creating that space for that exiting movement.
So there's going to be two-way traffic though, right? You're saying if I'm right there?
Correct, we left two-lane traffic flow in the driveway, so vehicles can come in, turn in here, go to the pickup. Then they have a choice to either leave southbound through this area, back to this outlet, or go northbound and keep going northbound at King Point Road, or go southbound. So this drive lane is a two-lane flow. That is a one-way for coffee pickup only.
It'd be nice if it was just all one way.
It was all one way?
Yeah. I don't know if you can do that, but I'm just saying for traffic flow purposes.
We can look at the traffic numbers. We were actually trying to avoid moving more trips to the north entrance
Mm-hmm.
because we thought that would be undesirable.
Right.
But if that is not the case, if it's more desirable to balance out trips between the three axes, we certainly could look at that.
I mean, if I'm picking between your original one and that one, I like the original one more. Because then when I'm turning in, I don't have to worry about getting hit from people coming both directions. Because in the winter, if that gets icy, they're not going to stop coming out of Caribou. They're just going to get right on Kings Point Road.
The winter one still had two-lane traffic flow.
Right, but when you left Caribou, you kept going straight.
Correct, you can either scenario, yeah.
So in the first scenario, there was a road between the parking area and Kings Point?
Yes.
Can you point that out?
It's on,
This is a drive lane, this is a standard
Okay.
28, 30-foot drive lane that did not have any segregation from this drive-through.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to create is segregation from the drive-through, this drive lane, and eliminate the parking here.
Where did you so you put the parking that was there? Where did that go then?
We're over parked already. So
Okay, so would a median work? I mean, to direct the traffic going, I don't know.
I guess we can talk with the operator, and if a one-way is desirable, a one-way traffic flow on this one could be a possibility.
What do you anticipate, how many people are going to be going through the drive-through? Any idea? I mean,
We would have to get counts from Caribou.
okay,
We don't currently have a
okay. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We're just going to go to Jordal's real quick. If you would like to come to the podium and make some comments or have some questions, you're going to have to state your name for the record, please.
I'm Ron Jordan.
I'm Pat Jordan.
We live at 4721 Fox Club Drive, which is right off of Woodland Cove Boulevard. And as I look at this map, I'm assuming that big road that goes to the right is Woodland Cove Boulevard. Is there any access from that intersection into the complex, or is that blocked off? In other words, can you come up to Woodland Cove Boulevard and take a left to go into the facility, or you have to either go to the first entrance or the top entrance to get into the complex?
The apartment complex?
No. As you look at that, when you come off Highway 7, we see what is the first road to the left.
Yep.
Which is an entrance into the
Develop-
shopping center or the grocery store. And if you continue on, that road goes to the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then if you go further up Kings Point,
Yep.
to where Woodland Cove is.
Yep.
My question is there an entrance and an exit
Right here.
into the shopping center?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 So when we come out of Woodland Cove, we are gonna be confronting traffic going into Mackenthun.
Right.
Is that
On
correct?
the left-hand turn, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right. I mean, and then potentially on the right-hand coming south as well.
So, but that intersection that we use as an access in and out of our residential area we're gonna have to contend with traffic.
It's a four-way intersection, yeah.
North and
Yep.
south
Yeah.
into the development.
Correct, yep.
Okay. I don't know how many people have ever been out there and already driven through or driven by or taken a look at the traffic that's out there. There is substantial traffic already, and especially if you come down Kings Point and you try to get on Highway 7 now, at certain times of the day, you will sit at that roundabout for a very long period of time trying to get on Highway 7. And now we're gonna be putting substantial additional traffic through that roundabout, pointing north, getting into the commercial development. And the word traffic has been tossed around a lot, and I'm glad it is, because traffic, in our opinion, and for most of us who live off of Fox Club and going into the development, there is a lot of concern about the fact that we are going to be dealing with a lot of additional traffic to get in and out of our residential development. There's no way around it. I mean, there's only one access off of Highway 7 in here and out of here. So you're gonna have the bottom one, you're gonna use our road, Woodland Cove, as an access, and then you've got Cranesville. Well, for those of us who come in and out of that development all the time, that is gonna be a problem.
If you're going to do a study, I've heard the word study the traffic here. When we were to the meeting at the Gillespie, which was not a part of this group, Woodland Cove Master Association had a meeting at the Gillespie earlier in June. And it was suggested to us that the traffic flow and the fact that the traffic could be accommodated was based on a study that was done 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
So our concern is, has a traffic study been done here in connection with this new development now? Or is it planned to be done?
So a traffic study was done 10 years ago,
Yeah.
but it took into account the entire 1,071 units that Woodland Cove would be generating, okay? And that number has not fluctuated at all. And the way that they do their ADTs, their average daily traffic counts, they take a unit and they say each unit provides so many traffic trips per day. So that formula hasn't changed. It might once we get automated cars, but having said that, this one access onto Highway 7, that was determined by MnDOT. The city wanted more access, but they said no. And so and then they said we can have this one access, and they did a study, and they determined that the roundabout was the best way for the people in Woodland Cove to get in and out of Woodland Cove.
I agree with that.
So, right, and as you know, it used to be a 2-lane, now it's a 1-lane. The 1-lane is much better than the 2-lane, believe it or not, and the chief can attest to that. And then the other thing is, What we don't have control over is the people from the west that are coming, that are driving east in the mornings and so on. We don't have control over that. Now, what we can do is maybe through this traffic study that they're going to be doing, we might have to add stop signs at some of these intersections. We don't know yet. So that's a traffic study that we're going to be doing. How many trips, how many vehicles are going to be driving here, going into Mackenthun's? How many are going to go there? How many are going to go on the other one? Do we need a stop sign in order to facilitate a safer intersection? So that's what we're going to look at.
I guess my other question is it necessary to have people using Woodland Cove intersection to gain access?
No, they could actually eventually use Lotus Drive.
But you're providing an access to them now, the way it looks, correct? When you get to Woodland Cove.
Oh, you're saying on the development, they need that
so
third.
When you come to Woodland Cove, you can go right into the development, or now you're saying you can go left into Mackenthun's?
Right.
Okay. So my point is that we don't have much contention for traffic there now, other than the residential traffic. But we are gonna have contention for control of that intersection when you start pumping a lot of traffic up Kings Point Road. For those who don't go in the first entrance, which looks small, I don't know how big that main, the entrance off of Woodland Cove is. Are they the same size entrances, or is that gonna be the grand entrance into Mackenthun's?
I think this gentleman kind of, and then I'm going to stop you there because you've exceeded your 3 minutes. But I think this gentleman was saying that most people are going to be using that southern entrance. However, maybe they could make it slightly bigger to make it more accommodating or more interesting to access the grocery store from the first entrance. That would,
That's one more question.
yeah.
From Highway 7 to that first entrance, if you take a left, what's the distance between the
It's about 120 feet, maybe 150 feet.
You
There's a
said
turn
it
lane.
accommodates about a 10-car lane. The turn lane is that distance.
Okay.
The separation is probably close to, I don't know, 250, 300 feet.
Yeah, and that's the other thing we're going to be looking at. That turn lane maybe have to be extended depending on what the traffic study says. So that may end up, but that's what I was asking you before, and that's why I thought you said it was 100 feet, but you meant the turn lane was 100 feet. So it might have to be extended.
That median, how, is currently there. It's the
Yes.
opening that goes to nowhere.
Yes,
So, I mean, it's
exactly.
there
And
now.
then the next opening is.
Is the main one, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that'll be looked at. So we'll do our best.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah.
Are the plans, whatever that came out of that planning commission meeting, are they available for the public?
The plans or the minutes?
We didn't know about that meeting, we missed that. I think we missed.
I think everything that's was included in the packet is available. I mean, you can see that online. The minutes of the meeting, they are reviewed by the planning commission at their next meeting. So coming up here next week, they would then review the minutes from June. And then once that's approved, they're made public. So they're not verbatim minutes, but they are, a summary of the meeting. So that would be made available potentially sometime next week, assuming the planning commission adopts them with no changes. So you have the minutes there, but I think everything else that's been shown here tonight is either available through the city council packet for tonight's meeting, or you could look back at the June 27th planning commission meeting, and that would all be there as well. So that stuff's all there. The only thing, I guess, that's forthcoming would be the minutes from the planning commission meeting. Like I said, would be adopted at the 25th meeting next Monday, and then posted sometime later that week. So you could have the kind of the recap of that meeting. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So it looks to me, maybe Mr. Engineer, you could get, I don't know your name, I apologize. Like those entrance points are about the same width, are they not? Or no?
At the time, in the schematic one, they are widening the south one slightly to accommodate additional inbound lane to the car.
Okay, all right. Because, Ms. Refkin,
I like it. I
Okay.
like Mackenthun's. I shop there.
Well-
all the time.
I
My
think-
concern is the cross traffic with the caribou. I said I liked the original plan more. It seemed a lot safer. But if Chief doesn't have concerns, then that's fine. There's going to be more traffic, but there's also going to be a back way out of the neighborhood when Lotus is finished, and that's how I always go in and out.
That's gonna become a pressure point right past our house, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah. Woodland Cove,
We
which
would-
will turn into Lotus.
Yep, that, I mean, that is the road into that development.
Mhm.
This past, is Woodland Cove.
Right, but I'm saying once the back roads are finished, people will be able to leave the development and get on Lotus and get on 244 that way.
Right.
And a lot of people used to do that a lot in the morning. So there will be less traffic on Kings Point Road in the morning when it's hard, when there'll be increased traffic.
Traffic going east to 44 and getting out of the development.
Yes.
Correct.
So all
Yes.
past our house.
No,
Yeah.
not
No.
from the development east.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're
Yeah.
saying.
That would only happen for the traffic that's gonna come west. Out of the development on Woodland Cove.
See, I think what Ms. Refkin's getting at is once the phases that they're currently under construction, once those roads gets completed and things start to open up, hopefully some of the people that are living in Woodland Cove now that have gotten used to going west to Kings Point Road down to 7, just because it was maybe an easier, safer, less construction, maybe once those roads get completed, some of that traffic will then head east through Lotus Drive to County Road 44 to a controlled intersection on Highway 7, hopefully splitting up some of that trips, hopefully lessening some of the pressure on the intersection, the roundabout at Kings Point Road and Highway 7. That's kind of the thought. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people that have came in aren't used to that because they don't know any different. I mean, if they've been in there for a year or less, they would only know kind of the temporary situation we have been going through as those phases were getting completed.
Is Lotus Road scheduled for improvement and then widening? Because I mean, that's just a.
No,
very
it's not.
different-
It's not
depends
gonna
on
get
which-
widened.
Well, it depends on which part of the road he's talking about. 'Cause some of the road isn't finished, so it's still the temporary road. The ones that have curb are done, but they're still connecting and
But as
adding
it-
more
Yeah,
No,
roads.
the residential has Trillium.
As, no,
No,
that's not getting
no.
changed.
That's not gonna change.
No,
No,
as it goes
not
through
the
the park, it is what it is, and that was determined many years ago. Yeah,
I mean, for now, that's what it'll be like.
right. So with that, just one comment or one question. Outlot C, you said you had some interest in that. I mean, do you need what I'm wondering is this 0.66 acres for outlot, lot 1, block 2. I'm assuming that's for the city, right? Okay.
Correct.
Is there any chance that can be a little bit bigger? I just want to make sure that we're going to have enough space to do what we need to do up there.
We had originally asked for a half an acre and we picked it up.
I thought it was an acre.
I believe he's correct. I believe it was a half acre.
Oh, darn it. I thought we could get more. Okay, well, will you give us more anyway? Okay, fine. And then the question, would we have access, so let's just say it's a public safety building of some kind. They would go right out to Kings Point Road, right? I mean, they wouldn't, the entrance into that parcel wouldn't be off of, okay, where's my pointer? The entrance into this parcel wouldn't be here, it would be on Kings Point Road somewhere, right?
We preliminary looked at it, and we're not city emergency planning.
I know.
But we have looked at that would have a dedicated exit onto King Point Road, passes our route out.
Right, that's what I'm,
Probably would rear load off of the private drive into the facility. As typically emergency vehicles will have a drive-through, pull-through type.
okay, so you're saying on the northern end of that parcel, that's where they would exit?
You get an exit only, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what he was
okay.
saying.
Chief?
Madam Mayor, I believe that would be ideal because as a public safety facility, the primary function of that would be to put a couple of fire trucks in there, not a full-blown fire station. but,
Or ambulance? or
And
whatever.
one or more of those could be large, so that direct access would be vital.
Okay, all right.
Would it add any value to have a left turn lane at the very first intersection? That would, from my perspective, if I was going there, would entice me to stage to turn into the grocery store there instead of going down to
Yeah,
the main.
there is an existing turn lane already constructed.
Oh, is there one there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A left turn lane?
Yeah,
There is, yep.
People stop there all the time.
and that's the
But it
one they're
doesn't
gonna
go
look and see
anywhere.
if it's long
Because
enough.
They're stopping and checking their phone to see if they're long. They're supposed to be going that way. Yep.
Okay. Well, good.
That's what we're gonna look at to see if it's long, if that whole median is long enough for
From off of Seventh.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
because that's the concern, yeah. Okay. Any other comments? Otherwise, I know that Jenna and her crew has been doing a lot of work on this and working hard to make sure that it's going to be a great asset. And I will say this, I know there's some people in Woodland Cove that are not very happy about it, but as a council, we need to make a decision as to what's best for the entire community, and not just Woodland Cove, but for the entire community. And I do know that this would be of benefit for people in Trillium Bay and Palmer Point and Hunter's Crest and Turtle Creek and all the points in between. So I do think that it should move forward. We'll,
If I may add, Madam Mayor, we have been in support of this development. We think that's a hell of a facility, and we use it all the time in Wacom.
Yeah.
So we're happy that this is coming. Our only issue has been the influx, the increase in traffic that is going to be coming up Kings Point.
into that,
I mean,
right,
Because like I said,
Yeah.
we go in and out of this thing all the time.
Right.
And we see what the traffic is, we deal with the traffic, we live there.
yeah,
So to us, it's a real thing, it's not something that you put on a board and draw a picture of in a graph and
Right.
take, you know, that kind of.
right. No, I understand. And we're doing the traffic study and we'll see if we need any traffic control, stop signs or whatever.
Oh,
So,
yes.
yep,
Oh, yeah.
with that.
Okay.
All right, council, anything else? Because we don't need to make a motion or anything. This is just kind of direction. If you want to give us more land, we'll take it. And thank you for your explanations of all of this. That's very helpful. So looking forward to it. So
I appreciate the work that's been done since the planning commission. You took all the things that were said by the different people and you put the scenarios out there to see if they would fit. And we're back to this, but by putting the buffers in, working on the traffic flow, I think it's a good project.
Well, like Eric said, none of it was perfect. We want it to obviously work for everybody as well.
Appreciate
We're
that.
not,
And just like Laconia, we want to be good neighbors with everybody around, and we'll do whatever we can.
And yeah, because we
Yeah.
all live together. It's all our neighborhood, it's all our area, so we gotta coexist.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Again, thank you. And we're looking forward to a wonderful, successful project.